If you're living in Boston and Palm Springs has quietly shifted from a great vacation spot to could this actually be my future, this video is for you. I'm Glen Nadeau, and here's what actually changes when people relocate and why so many Boston buyers later tell me, I wish I had done this sooner. If you have questions, drop them in the comments below. Let's dive in. What I hear most from Boston clients is not dissatisfaction, it's fatigue, not burnout, not unhappiness, fatigue. Boston is an incredible city. It's intellectual, historic, layered, and alive, but it's also demanding. Everything takes effort: planning, timing, navigating density, navigating weather, navigating people. For many, the curiosity about Palm Springs doesn't start loudly. It starts quietly, like when winter feels longer than usual. A housing decision that requires one compromise too many, or a sense that daily life feels heavier than it needs to. This often coincides with a shift in life phase, not age, but awareness. People who have done the city well and built careers, accumulated success, and are now asking a different question. How do I want the future days to feel? Boston moves fast, and that pace is part of its identity. There's pride in it. Palm Springs moves deliberately. As a fellow New Englander, and having spent a lot of time in Boston myself, people underestimate how much mental bandwidth Boston requires. Even good days carry friction. Traffic patterns, weather recalculations, noise, proximity. You always feel like you're in the way or someone else is in your way. In Palm Springs, life expands horizontally instead of vertically. Errands don't feel compressed. Time doesn't feel scarce. You stop stacking obligations just to get through the day. What surprises a lot of folks is the relief they feel when they're here. The nervous system finally gets a chance to exhale. If you're Boston-based, here's what people underestimate about leaving the seasons behind. You don't really miss the snow. You miss the contrast. You miss the ritual. For example, the energy that fall brings. The holidays. The feeling that time is marked by weather. Palm Springs replaces that with consistency, and consistency does something powerful. It stabilizes daily life, morning walks year-round, outdoor dinners most nights, fewer canceled plans. Yes, the summers are hot, that's real, but they're predictable, and people adapt early mornings, evening social life, travel, and pool culture. Summer here is slow and unchaotic. The key difference here is that the weather stops running your calendar and your life. Housing is where Boston buyers feel the biggest emotional shift. In Boston, $800,000 often means trade-offs: shared walls, limited outdoor space, parking puzzles, and renovation fatigue. In Palm Springs, that same budget typically buys space, privacy, architectural character, and indoor-outdoor living. Homes feel intentional. They're designed to be lived in, not squeezed in. Clients often tell me their Palm Springs homes feels less like a property and more like a lifestyle decision they finally allowed themselves to make. Palm Springs is uniquely special for all sorts of reasons. As a gay man myself, it's incredible to live somewhere where nearly half the population identifies as LGBTQ+. That's not a statistic you take lightly. It shows up in the daily life here. Visibility is normal, safety is assumed, and community forms organically here. No doubt that Boston has deep culture and social history. Palm Springs has accessibility. Neighbors talk, social circles overlap, and you don't have to work as hard to belong. Yes, there's seasonal tourism energy, but residents know where life happens. Neighborhood pools, local events, charity galas, morning coffee routines, and year-round recreational activities. For many LGBTQ+ buyers, Palm Springs feels less like the home they never thought possible. That's a powerful feeling. When it comes to long-term livability, here's a question people don't ask early enough. How will this place feel 5-10 years from now? Palm Springs tends to get easier over time, single-level living, aging in place, less physical strain, and more social continuity. Many Boston cities don't move all at once. They snowbird. They buy a second home, or they test out the community slowly, and then one year, the tables turn. Boston starts to feel like the visit, and Palm Springs feels like the home. Before we wrap up, there are a few questions people relocating from Boston almost always ask, usually a little quietly, so I want to address them head on. Will I feel isolated or bored once the novelty wears off? This is probably the most common fear, especially for people coming from a dense, intellectually active city like Boston. What I have found that isolation here has much less to do with Palm Springs and much more to do with how someone engages. People who thrive here treat community something they step into, not something that just shows up automatically. Those who struggle are usually waiting for the city to entertain them, the way a major metro does. Palm Springs rewards participation more than passivity. Is Palm Springs too quiet or too slow for someone used to a major city? This is a really important distinction. Palm Springs is slower, but it's not empty. In fact, it's incredible how much goes on here year-round for such a small city. The pace is intentional, not stagnant. People coming from Boston often realize they weren't actually craving constant stimulation. They were craving relief from mental overload. Here, the energy is in the air. It's just not competing for your attention every second of the day. Is summer actually livable, or is that when people regret moving here? I appreciate the honesty of this question. Summer is real, it's hot, and everyone telling you otherwise isn't being helpful. But it's also predictable. Most people adjust by shifting routines: earlier mornings, quieter afternoons, evening social life, summer travel, or simply enjoying the calm. Summer here is slower, but not miserable. The AC always feels nice, and so does the pool. Regret usually comes from unrealistic expectations, not from the heat itself. Will I miss the cultural depth and stimulation of a city like Boston? For some people, yes, and it's important to say that out loud. Palm Springs doesn't replace Boston's density of museums, universities, and constant cultural churn. What it offers instead is space to choose what you engage with rather than being oversaturated with it all the time. Many buyers find that their relationship with culture becomes more intentional but never diminished. How long does it usually take to feel at home here? This is one of my favorite questions. Most people tell me that the first year is about orientation, learning neighborhoods, rhythms, seasons, and social patterns. There's a longer honeymoon period when it comes to Palm Springs because of all it has to uniquely offer. The second year is when it starts to feel like home. Community here tends to deepen with time, but it also doesn't take long at all to make friends here. This is where being honest with yourself matters most. If you thrive on density, 4 true seasons, and constant big city stimulation, Boston may still be the better fit. But if you're craving space, emotional, physical, or psychological, Palm Springs starts to make sense in a different way. It's never about escape, it's about alignment. Here's the timing insight most people miss. If you have any real desire to retire in Palm Springs, the smartest move is often not about waiting too long. My best advice to you is this: buy the home earlier, rent it out. Let someone else help pay down the mortgage. Let equity build quietly in the background. Then when life works and the emotional timing lines up, the home is already here waiting for you. Boston buyers understand long-term strategy. This is the same thinking applied to both lifestyle and finances. If Palm Springs is starting to feel like the future chapter, I'm always happy to talk things through. Most people who reach out to me directly aren't ready to move tomorrow. They just want clarity. I work with Boston-based buyers and sellers like you every week, mapping smart timelines and options that actually fit real life. You can call or text me directly, or use the contact links in the description. No pressure, just perspective. If you haven't yet already, please like this video and subscribe to my channel for more exciting changes, developments, and opportunities taking place here in Palm Springs and the Coachella Valley. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.